jump right in, if that's okay, Brett and Sydney. Would each of you be willing to share just a little bit, briefly about your path to consulting? What led you to that space, and what is the work like?
I actually started my career at GE out of Hamilton. It was a great learning ground, but realized like my passion was not in corporate finance. Ultimately ended up at McKinsey when I was kind of about 7 years into my time at GE, which these days feels like a very long time to stay with one company. Consulting for me was like a great way to see a lot of different industries and a lot of different topics in shorter periods of time. I'm like addicted to that short-term nature of projects. I'm on projects for like 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. And so that variety to me and kind of like really steep learning curve is just been something that I've been happy to kind of keep up with. To me is like one of the major benefits of consulting is like when you're in between projects, you're in between projects, right? Like you're not beholden to anyone. You can really shut down.
So I was a math major, computer science minor at Hamilton. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt like consulting was just a really easy way to get good experience without having to decide. You get the opportunity to learn about a lot of things and potentially figure out what you want to do. But even if you don't figure out what you want to do, you're still building really good basic skills.
The most important skills to have to be successful in the industry are probably like the client hand. So like being able to really like connect interpersonally and also like persuade and coach and kind of motivate your clients. And then I think analytical abilities, which that's kind of like table stakes, I would say, for the role. And then kind of like a creative problem solving mind. So like, how do we like come at a problem from a new angle? And I probably like the last thing I would add, at least specific to McKinsey, is like the like courage to like say when you don't agree or to like challenge your colleagues or challenge your clients to think differently.
What have you been challenged by in the work? What have you found that you've learned about yourself or you've learned about your capabilities?
It's been extremely useful for me to know how to present a story and convince clients, but also internal leadership of solutions.
We joke that we have like we have a framework for everything at McKinsey, right? So like here's the problem. Like I would break it down by like thinking about like this and this, right? But it's actually a really effective way of like making a really big problem feel less intimidating. And I think just a skill that you can take like literally no matter what you're doing in life, even if it's like planning a vacation and your spouse wants to like punch you in the face because that's how you're like structuring it.
But it does sound like there's a lot of interpersonal skills, a lot of analytic skills, and a lot of persuasive skills that come into play. What are the unique pressures to that world? Like, what are some friction points that you've faced that feel, maybe some of it's just unique to working in the business world, but maybe some of it's unique to the consulting space as well?
The other thing that I thought put a lot of pressure on me is the fact that you are sitting with clients face to face, and this is real for them. So even though it's a project for you for 2 months, this, can maybe mean that they may not have a job in a few months. And so having the pressure of your work really meaning something can be a lot sometimes.
It's really hard to know nothing about an industry and know nothing about how to fix the problem on day one, but you're like talking to clients like you can, right? I think some of the best leaders that I've worked with like acknowledge that up front and they say like we're going to get there. Like we're going to figure this out. You should not feel pressure to like come in and have all the answers, but you should feel an obligation to come in and ask like interesting questions that they may not have.
One of the most helpful pieces of advice I've ever received from a leader at the firm was just always have a perspective on something. Don't come to your boss with an open question and say like, I don't know what to do. If you come with a question, have a potential solution, and it doesn't have to be the right solution. But it shows that you've thought about it.
Don't feel like you have to be making the like big decision of what you want to do with your life right now.
These are good life lessons that the linear path is not always the one we end up on, or not always the one that's satisfying. Great. Thank you for the conversation. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for coming. I think we got to some good topics.